All right, today we're going to crack open a machine you probably use all the time but never really think about, the ATM. We're going to deconstruct the invisible fortress that's protecting your cash and your data, using the actual security blueprints that banks have to follow. So, let's dive in. I mean, seriously, think about it. You walk up, you stick in a card, punch in a pin, and out comes your money. It feels so simple, right? But behind that screen, there is a massive multi-layer defense system that's under constant threat. So how does it actually hold up? You know, the best way to get your head around ATM security is to stop thinking of it as just a computer. Instead, picture a heavily defended fortress. Every single piece of it, from the software code to the network cable, is a wall, or a gate, or a guard, all designed with one purpose: keep intruders out. And, of course, every good fortress starts with a solid set of blueprints. In our digital world, that blueprint is the source code. So before a single line of that software ever gets installed, it has to go through an incredibly tough security check. This is the absolute first line of defense. They use these specialized tools that automatically scan every bit of the application's code. They're basically hunting for any potential weakness, any bug, any little loophole a hacker could try to exploit. It's like having a master inspector check every single brick and beam of the fortress before you even start building. And this isn't a one-and-done thing. Whenever the ATM software needs an upgrade, it's not just a quick download. Oh no, it's a whole security ritual. First, you scan the code. Then, any change has to be signed off by at least 2 different authorized people. No single person can push something through. After that, the files are checked to make sure they haven't been messed with. And even then, there's another review after it's all deployed, just to be sure everything is perfect. And that 2-part check is just so important. The integrity check uses what's kind of like a unique digital fingerprint to make sure the file hasn't been changed, not even by one single bit. It's like checking the seal on a confidential package. Then it gets a full-on scan for any malware. Only if it passes both of those tests can an update even get close to an actual ATM. Okay, so we've got our secure blueprints. Now it's time to build the walls and lock the doors. This whole section is about controlling exactly who and, more importantly, what is allowed to do anything inside the ATM system. This slide right here really nails the huge difference between an ATM and, say, your computer at home. Your PC is built to be flexible and open. An ATM, it's the complete opposite. It is locked down tight. It runs only the absolute bare minimum software it needs. It disables stuff like automatically running a program from a USB stick, and even the most basic startup system is locked to prevent it from booting from anything but its own trusted hard drive. And that gets to the core philosophy here. Instead of a blacklist, which tries to block known bad things, ATMs use whitelisting. Think of it like a super exclusive nightclub with a very strict guest list. If your name's not on the list, you're not getting in, period. It's way more effective because it blocks brand new, unknown threats, not just the ones we already know about. The rules of this fortress are just incredibly strict. Any big system change requires 2 people with 2 different keys to approve it. The startup is locked. It even gets deeper. The part that actually gives you the cash has its own secret handshake with the main computer, just to make sure no one's tampered with it. And any program that isn't absolutely essential, gone, stripped right out. All right, the fortress is built, the doors are locked. But what about attacks coming from the outside world? Well, this is where the next layer of defense comes in, a digital moat that completely cuts the ATM network off from everything else. This is the one rule to rule them all. It's simple, really. You can't hack what you can't reach. The entire network that these ATMs run on is designed to be a totally separate island, completely cut off from the big, dangerous ocean of the public internet. So they use these heavy-duty firewalls and secure private tunnels to wall off the ATM network from everything. It can't touch the public internet, it can't connect to the bank's regular office network where people check their email. It's even kept separate from the labs where new code is being developed. It is a network for ATMs and only ATMs. And if you want to know just how serious they are about this isolation, get this. The main server that holds the master copies of all the software, the crown jewels, it isn't even left online all the time. Technicians literally connect it, push out an update, and then immediately pull the plug, taking it offline again. It's the digital version of putting the master blueprints back in a sealed vault. But a fortress, no matter how well built, is pretty useless if there aren't any sentries on the walls. So the final piece of this puzzle is constant vigilance. Always watching the system, always hunting for weaknesses, and always getting ready for the next threat. See, security isn't something you just set up once and then forget about. It's a non-stop process. System logs are always being watched for anything that looks weird. The whole system is actively guarded by antivirus software, and they even run regular drills to make sure everyone knows exactly what to do if an alarm ever goes off. And here's a perfect example of what that lockdown looks like. Take a look at these tools that are totally forbidden on an ATM. Things like FTP and Telnet, these are pretty standard for a normal system administrator, but on an ATM, they are a massive security risk because their whole purpose is remote access, the one thing you absolutely do not want. Even a simple command for changing network settings is banned. So it all comes down to this relentless, scheduled cycle of maintenance. Antivirus? Yeah, that's a given. But on top of that, banks are required to run these super deep vulnerability scans at least every 6 months. They have to have a formal plan to replace old machines. And every single year, they have to practice what they do in an emergency. It's just a constant cycle of preparation. And that points to something really important. Technology gets old. When an ATM's operating system is too old to get security updates, it becomes a huge liability. The regulations say the bank must have a plan to get rid of it. But in the meantime, they use these temporary defenses like virtual patching, which is basically an external shield that blocks attacks aimed at those old, known weak spots. So there you have it. The ATM isn't just a simple cash box. It's a really sophisticated digital fortress built on all these layers of defense, from secure code and lockdown access to network isolation and just constant vigilance. But the attackers are always getting smarter, and that makes you wonder, this is the fortress of today, but what new threats will the fortress of tomorrow have to defend against?